I'm Shauna from Infinity Readings, and this is the reading for the Gemini female single. Hey guys, I wanted to take a minute here just to kind of acknowledge what I've done for this winter season. I managed to change up a few things. I vamped the logo a little bit. I actually got Aaron at Active Dynamics here. He has managed to make my intro for me, so I'm very thankful for that. He did a great job. I couldn't have done it. So thanks, Aaron, for that. I appreciate it immensely. And also to Ikson for my theme music. It's beautiful, upbeat, happy tunes. I can't get enough. I am now going to his page because it's just that great. It's all good gravy stuff. So I couldn't have revamped my winter season without these dudes around me. So I'm lucky enough to have them in my corner. So thanks, guys. Ikson, great work. Aaron, thanks again. Great work. So take care, guys. Enjoy your season. And Ikson, if you ever want a reading, just hit me up, man. Just email me. I will kick in and we'll set something up. In the meantime, take care. Have fun, you guys, and enjoy the readings. So this is for the Gemini female single. I am going to do an overview and then we'll get right into the cards. This should be or play out, if it resonates, over the winter season. I'm in North America, so October, November, December of 18 into January, February, March of 19. Okay. Also want to mention, if you are looking for more readings from me, check out my Facebook page, Infinity Readings and Reviews on Facebook. And I do most of my work when I'm not doing seasonals in there. So if you're wanting more readings or tarot nights, there's tarot nights I come out and do live. Go in there and you'll find out exactly what's going on and when. Alrighty, so I have 3 cards for the feminine. I overview their general energies, and then I get into I have 5 decks here I work from. I have the Lenormand, 2 tarots, and 2 romance and a sex deck, and we get right into the sex and romance for the winter for the Gemini female. So the first card I get for the overall energies is healing. Now, healing, there seems to be a situation here where we are needing time to digest things, okay? There's stuff, I feel like it's really heavy, but yet we're taking it in stride. I feel like there's an essence here of digesting, processing, that kind of thing. A lot of things that have gone on maybe over the period of our life, or I feel like it's very distant from that energy. I feel there's a sense here of digesting stuff that has happened a long time ago. So we may be looking in that way and trying to heal those parts of ourselves, okay? So that's the overall energy for the winter for this female. She's really focused on healing and maybe to the point of isolating from others, okay? So the next card I get for the general energies is release. So if we're healing and there's release, that's a good sign. These are a lot of fiery energy cards here. And release is really letting go of something that has been holding you back. So I feel like part of that healing process may be recognizing what needs to go and what needs to stay, or maybe what needs to go and how to deal with that overall, I think. Yeah, I feel like that's the focus for the Gemini female. And on the right side is new beginnings. So this is really a nice trine here that she's got for overall energies, because the healing peaks, I make a pyramid, and the healing is at the top, and it shines down upon everything. And if we have release, that is good as well, because we are releasing an energy of, you know, this has got to go. This, I can't deal with this no more. It's got to go. So, and that I feel is a very aggressive energy, even softer than the healing. The healing is the base of everything here. And new beginnings is what's going to spring forth because of all of this work that she's done in the healing area, and also releasing certain corners here that needed to go. Okay, so we'll dive in here and we'll see what we get, if we can expand a little more, because my whole theory into being here is to get people past their blocks, to one, recognize them, get them past their blocks so they can move forward. So with the information, you are armed and you can push through, right, those doorways that have been holding you back. So that's what I'm hoping to illuminate here. So we'll move into the first set of cards. I go horizontally and then I go vertically, and we kind of break everything right down to a root ball, and then we get rid of that. And that's really, it's kind of like it swirls around, and then I get a picture, and it's like, okay, this is, you know. So I'm going to start off here. The first card is Strength. I feel like this woman she's gaining strength slowly. Like I feel like a Pentacles energy here of moving through things very slowly. And she may not actually have this as her purpose. Okay, it may just be something that's kind of organically brewing in her, and she's not attacking it per se. It's just subtly going on in the background. There's some healing energy here, and we're needing strength to deal with it. I feel like she's in need of it, but she's not gonna let it take her down. But it's a very, yeah, it's a very tight rope she's walking here. Okay, the next cup I get is the Six of Cups, and the Six of Cups here, I'm getting a different vibe. Yeah, it's kind of like, you know, that card where you're not depressed, but you're not happy. You're kind of in limbo, and you're trying to think of things to make you happy, to push you forward. And I'm getting a sense here she's not finding anything that's really triggering that. She's not finding any passion here or any kind of happy vibe, right? She's just kind of in limbo, trying to get out of that feeling of not really feeling anything. Okay, that's the sense I get. So she's needing strength to come out of this, and she's kind of in her head going, what can I do? What can I, you know, how can I change things? But not really seeing anything that's catching her fancy. Okay, so like an air sign, and very much in her head about a lot of stuff. The next card I get is the King of Cups. So the King of Cups is about love offerings. It's also, because this is general energies for her, I feel like she's trying to get a hold of her emotional centers. I feel like she's really made some progress as well, because you don't get the King unless you've worked hard to come to terms with some emotional issues in your life. And that may be where she's healing in the emotional area. And this may be the progress that's going on here, like releasing, realizing, dealing with emotions and flooding that out. I feel like the Gemini female might be actually getting into that. Finally, going in there, again, not that this is her goal to go in there, okay, I got to feel all this out. It's not her goal. It is kind of happening in the background, in and amongst things that are going on in, you know, in reality here. Now, the card we get after that is the King of Swords. And this is interesting because the King of Cups is that soft, compassionate energy. Now we're talking about a Gemini here, and Gemini is always the twins, right? So what I'm getting a high sense of here is that we're really going back and forth between a sense of almost like a split personality, where we're very emotionally sound, very emotionally stable, compassionate, caring, and considerate. And then we go to the King of Swords, which is angry, cantankerous, bitchy, and, you know, really full of resentment against everyone and everything, and they're ready to cut at any minute. So we have a situation here where I think the female single is dealing with a lot of emotional upsets. We're getting opposing factors here, and I feel like that's part of the emotional process that she's going through. Maybe trying to balance that out, But I feel it at this point, I feel a heavy need to just notice it and see it on her own. I think people around her are noticing, man, you either get an angel or devil from this one. So I think she has to realize this, and maybe this is what's happening here. Is she starting to realize I have two sides here? I gotta start to balance that out into one solid unit, right? Because I feel like there's no medium here. There's no happy medium, and that's why we're in the Six of Cups. It's like we can't quite balance things, okay? So highly emotional healing is what's going on here. So under the Strength card in the second row with the Dreamer's Tarot, I get the Seven of Cups, and here we go. 6, 7. So not only are we kind of pensive and thinking about things that may make us happy, but the Seven of Cups is bringing that to a higher degree where we're really living up there, living in our head. The Geminis are air signs. That's what they do. They think, they analyze, the thought processes is where they come from. That's their strength, thinking about things. So the Seven of Cups is really a lot of stuff going on up in there. And I'm getting a sense here that is where we, even though it's cluttered at this time, I feel like that's where we need to be, because there's going to be some instinctive stuff coming through down the line here. Okay, so that's under the Strength is the Seven of Cups. So basically, I feel like the Gemini female is really in a place where she's gaining strength from being in her head. She's not feeling comfortable going out and communicating with people or letting anybody in that zone. So she's staying in her head, and that is giving her at this moment the strength to move forward. Okay? Lots of ideas and thoughts running through. Now, Six of Cups. Six of Cups, underneath that we get the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is about tradition, traditional ways of being. And I get a sense here that this woman is very non-traditional, and she's very one of those people that just does not fit in any mold, nor does she want to. But at this point, her soul is seeking balance. And I think she's starting to realize that she doesn't have any, especially interiorly. There's a lot of crooked stuff going on in there. We have a high and a low, and we cannot we cannot balance the two. And so we go out when we're happy and we stay home when we're not. And the Hierophant is really saying, that's not traditional. And we need to look at ways to become more traditional. Even though we don't have to fit in anyone's mold, you can still keep up with that theory and thought, because you truly will not. But we have to keep in mind that there's a traditional way of being here. And how do we fit? Like, I'm never one to say follow the pack here, but I think the Gemini female is feeling a sense of this. I'm not quite right. I'm not quite balanced, and I need to do that more in a traditional way. It doesn't mean you have to follow the leader. It doesn't mean you still can keep your individuality, but in the emotional interior sense of who you are, there has to be some balance. There's what I'm feeling. Okay. So under the King of Cups, we have the Hermit. So the King, oh, wow. That's making me feel when we're emotional, that's when we pull back. When we feel our emotions, we have to hide out and we have to go inside and deal with all of that. And that's what we are doing. Now under the King of Swords, we get the Nine of Wands. When we're in the King of Swords energy, we're angry, cantankerous, and everything. We got a feeling of giving up. We feel like we can't move on. We can't take things anymore. Is it worth it? What is going on here? There's got to be something better than this. So there's really a lot of strife here, though it is not in her outside world, is very much interiorly in this woman. She is struggling emotionally, mentally. This type of thing is going on to a degree that she's wondering if this is all worth it. She's not seeming to find a direction that makes her happy. And that seems to be the root here of what I can sense. Why? It's like, why can I not see something to be passionate about? So what is the point here? So our emotions are needing to flood, and that is happening with or without our consent. And so we got to struggle and fight against that. And I think the King of Swords here coming out, I think that's part of the process of fighting and holding back. I'll tell you a little bit about the process I went through. I have, and always continue to do so forward. They keep telling me you have to emotionally purge. You get hurt outside, somebody hurts your feelings or whatever. You know how kids are. They come out and somebody says something, snaps at them, and they cry right away and they let it all out. This is how, sometimes not appropriate, we agree, but we've learned the wrong way. We've learned to stuff things and hold it, and sometimes we just don't let it out. We stuff it and we get, we get over it, and we don't utilize that draining factor, meaning we don't take the time to go in the bedroom and actually cry it out to release. And I feel like the Gemini female may be in a process here where we've learned to stuff things quite well, and to a degree where it is actually harming our mental health and our physical health. It goes down that line, mental and then physical. And I feel highly the mental processes are shot here, and we're going to start working on the physical areas. But nonetheless, when we are in a happy state, and I'm saying this kind of in a way that she's not feeling that at all. She does not have an awareness of where this happy state is. She is just really trying, her soul is trying to purge all those emotions, but we have a stuffing factor here that is preventing that. And then that's when the King of Swords comes out. By the way, these are two of the top, your kings. I think I said Knight of Swords, but anyway, you have a King of Cups and a King of Swords. So you're at the top level here. We have the tools, we can manage this, but we're not seeing it, right? We can manage our emotions, and we can manage our mentality and our anger and frustration with the King of Swords, but we are choosing not to do so. Okay, they're telling me to be aware of that. So the struggle here, I think, is to fight with the anger and stuff, and that's what creates the chaos, right? The emotional stuff, you can kind of hide and harbor that, and that's exactly what this person's doing. They're hiding and harboring away because they don't want to be crying, crying in public, stuff like that. So it's just a real, the sense I get here is we just need to emotionally purge here, and things will naturally balance on their own. So the more that we stuff our emotions, the more that it hinders our process forward. So that's really what's going on here, is we have a pro at stuffing emotions, and we are doing so to a degree that it's spurting out all over the place. And that's that imbalance. That's why we can't get balanced. Never mind what we want to do forward outside of ourselves, inside of ourselves. Can't keep that balance. So the next row here, very much a interior struggle for the Gemini female. Now, I go to the Lenormand to kind of break up the monotony between the general energies and the love and romance, and we'll see what's going on. Now, under the Seven of Cups, we get 13, and that is the Child card. But it's also about imagination and things that go on in there. So just hyper vigilant on this dreamscape type stuff. We're thinking in dreamland. We're living in dreamland. We might even just be, living in there like 24/7. And then anybody comes in our sphere, man, and we're just King of Swordsing it. Get out of here. I don't want, because up in our mind is more safe, comfortable place than being in the reality of the world. Okay. And that's kind of that innocence of a child, or the naivety of a child, right? Wanting to kind of escape. And I'm getting a heavy feeling, almost to the degree of a Pisces, where we're just going to take ourselves out of reality and move into the dream world, because we can create things there that just actually keep us at least content. And I feel like that's the highest level that this female's gotten in a while. It's contentment. And if I can stay there, but if I go out in the real world and deal with real stuff, I can't stay content. I get mad and I get angry. But once we start to process the emotion, really that's the problem here, is this woman needs to process the emotions authentically. She needs to feel the pain and let it go. If you have to hibernate in the woods for 3 days and cry your eyes out, that's what you need to do, because there is a severe lifting of weight, burdens that leave you when you do this. But we're not giving ourselves enough time. And I mean, I get this all the time. We're not giving ourselves enough time, one, to do this. We don't want to make time to do this because it's painful, but doing it would actually help us clear things out of the way so it's easier to move forward. Okay, so under the Hierophant, we get 14, which is the Fox, which is the sneaky card. Now, here's the deal. This card is about manipulation and people twisting things and sneaky behavior, but I feel like it's on the side of the Gemini female. I feel like she is, because he's looking right at the child and the imagination. Okay, so what I'm getting here is we're trying to manipulate our thoughts. Yeah, okay. Let's see if I can translate this. We're trying to manipulate our thoughts. We're living in a dream world, okay? Because why? It's more comfortable there than living in reality, okay? So now we're trying to manipulate what we have in our dream world to make things more comfortable outside, okay? I'm going to leave it at that because they're going, this expands, but we'll carry on. Now, under the Hermit card, we get 12, which is the songbirds. And that usually it's about gossip and misunderstandings, things that can get thrown out there and totally taken the wrong way. So we may have this. Now, this is under the emotional side of things. So we may be interpreting things said to us in a wrong manner. Now, that is right next to the Fox. And the Fox is looking at the child and going, I'm in my imagination. Now, here's the deal. We are living in our imagination. The songbirds are there chirping outside of us. I feel like there's outside sources that are kind of making you feel uncomfortable. They are attending to you because they're going, make sure you use the word tending, because this woman is trying to be tended to, but we are not looking at the tension. We are looking in our dream world and creating things there that are unreal, untrue, and not sound. This is where the problem lies here, is we are getting outside things. We are so wrapped up. This is very interesting. Very ungrounded, very ungrounded. We are not, we are half across the universe. So we cannot fully absorb what is going on in reality. This is what I'm getting. So this is going to resonate for someone. Now, we are so ungrounded to the point that we are living 75% in our head, that we're making that the reality. Okay? Why? Because it's, again, more pleasant. To the degree that we got someone outside of us telling us what's going on, pointing out things, and we are completely manipulating those words and making it into something that it's not. So not only are we not absorbing things that are communicated properly, but we're distorting it and then spinning back out. And that could be the King of Swords. We're getting it on an emotional level, feeling it exploding into something it's not, and then shooting it back out. And people are confused because it's like, no, this doesn't. This is where the kind of sane and not sane angle comes in here, because we're taking things in, manipulating them, and then throwing it back out in a direction where it was totally not even meant. So how do they're going, we need to break this down. Okay, so how do I explain that? So say we have a situation where, give me a moment here. Okay. You know how you get a situation where you have kind of these fairy tale movies and you're sitting and watching TV, and it's to the degree you go through the whole movie and it's a happy ending, and you leave the theater and you feel happy and vibrant and and then something happens outside of you to take you out of that zone where you're happy and vibrant, and you kind of look at it and it doesn't compute. It's like you look and you go, and you disregard it. It's kind of like that. it's kind of like you're living on a high of imagination and you're really not taking your real world into account at all. So that's very dangerous for trying to get forward and get ahead. So I feel like there's an undercurrent here. We got to get this person ahead here, but not listening to our outer world. We're living in a complete fantasy world. And not only that, we're the world that we're trying to get grounded to, not on a conscious level, but the spirit's trying to connect to get this person more grounded. We are really just taking what is said to us, changing it around to, and they're going, suit our needs, but that is not always for our highest good. You know, someone may come along trying to help you or point out a loophole here to get you, help you get you on your path, or for the highest good anyway. That's the intent. And we will turn it around and manipulate it and make it like an attack on us. And suddenly we're looking at someone as an enemy when they are truly there out of heart and soul. And then we isolate against these people. So these are our new connections here that are trying to make heard, but we're not connecting at all on a lot of basic levels. So very disheartening, but nonetheless we'll carry on here. 9 of Wands, so that's the feeling of giving up. What's the point? I've put all this work in and I have nothing to show from it. Okay, now the next card we get is the Anchor. 35. So we're talking about security and stability and safety as well. I feel like that is the ultimate goal here, is for this Gemini female to feel safe. And that is why she's going through all the trickery, self-trickery no less, because she feels like she can't trust anyone. She feels like it's safe in this world. Nobody hurts me. I create things, and there's nothing wrong with being there, but we have to be grounded in reality at some point, because that is carrying on, right? So there's a sense here of really feeling unsafe to the degree that we got to save ourselves, right? And a lot of stuff is going, I feel like there's a lot of people coming into the Cancer female going, you okay? What's the matter? Da 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 da. And a lot of stuff is just not making sense. Why? Because we got our foot in the ethers and we really don't have any feet on our ground where we're living. And that's kind of, we have to deal with both here, but we're 75% on the ethers and we need to get back, because it's really, you know, we can destruct things, right? So, and I feel that the root here is the sense of safety. It's like, I feel safe here, so that's why I'm hanging out here and I'm doing this. And so they're really not taking reality into play here. They're off, completely off. I'm not going to say what they're saying, but they're going off the rocker here. We are not dealing with reality. Simple as that. So as we move into the romance here, I feel like I don't feel any characters other than we have a king, and I feel like those are more to epitomize the character that the Gemini female is coming from, but we'll see if that changes. Now, as we move into the romance under the 13, the Child, we get the Romance Tarot Dud card, and I put that in there so that when there's times where you can't let these people know the future, you give me that card. That's what this card is. So this card symbolizes that the universe is saying you cannot know it all, you cannot have all the answers, but there is stuff here that needs to be revealed universally, and there's reasons and things like that. So this is also under the 7 of Cups, and I feel like that's her searching in her mind for things. So be aware, even though there's dreams created in there and we're trying to go in there to hibernate and to feel safe, there is stuff coming through there that is warning you of what you need, or not warning you, but giving you flags to say, this could save you, this could save you, this is an issue, this we got to deal with, that's got to be dealt with. So there's things coming in there that are allowing intuition, right, to pass. So even though we're in this world and we're creating all this stuff, you're going to notice some offshoots that are not quite on the alley that you're walking, but those are things that the universe is throwing at you We deal with this, things will get a little better. We deal with that, things will get a little better. Because I'm literally seeing this vision of field, and we got a big dream here, a big bubble. And then outside the bubble, there's things that shoot through there. It's not quite matching with the world that we've created up in our head, but it's grounded reality. Deal with this one step at a time. That's the thing. I think that the Gemini female is being overwhelmed as well mentally, and creating this as her safe haven. And she just needs to attack those little things that fly in every once in a while. Just take one and deal with it. Conquer it and then move on. They'll give you the next one. And that's that intuition. She could be highly attuned, but very much isolated in her mind, in the dream world, to create a haven where she can feel safe and sound. Okay. So under the 14, the fox, which is the sneaky behavior, we have the 2 of swords. And the 2 of swords is that blocking of the heart center. So there does not seem to be anything going on here as in the ways of an object of affection, okay, romantically. So we're going to go a little deeper into this. So the fox, the sneaky behavior, is the 2 of swords, is blocking our heart off. That's what's going on here, is the sneaky behavior in our mind is being created to manipulate feelings. What does that mean? They're going not only manipulate, but absolutely cut and extract the emotions out of it. This hurts. This doesn't feel good. This doesn't, we need to get rid of this. So this is the sneaky behavior. We're in our emotions and we're creating things, but we're blocking our emotions, even from the happiness that we could feel from our dream time. We're blocking that as well. So there's a stalemate here. Not only like the 2 of swords, that's the card of the stalemate. I feel like there's an indecision here. The indecision is I will not turn on my heart light. Like I'm not gonna go forward here and make a decision to open my feelings. That's the problem. Okay. So that's everything that she creates is manipulated around the fact that I do not gain feelings, give feelings, or deal with feelings. And this is what it is. So we're going to use every trick in the book to beat around every bush that we can if we have to deal in an emotional center. So that's the thing. She is shutting off her heart. That is it. We're done, Zeus, right? So that is the trickery. And that is self. It's all interior. There's nobody outside of her taking this and manipulating. It's all inside. Very internal process. So under the 12, the gossiping birds, we have 21, which is the world and the burdens. And that is the sense here that I feel that this Gemini female is coming from, a sense of being overburdened with life, the issues of life, the duties, the requirements that need to happen. I cannot deal with this. My mental capacity is at a point here. I am not stable. So everything becomes more burdensome, more irritating, more hard to deal with, more frustrating. And this is the sense that she's at. It's almost like people are talking, but there's just dots and dashes. That's all she sees. She can't hear what they're saying. It's completely being missed. People are talking at her, and I get a sense of trying to guide her and help her in wisdom, but it's just being looked upon like I cannot relate. And it's like the words don't even hit her so she can absorb them properly. One, because she's not hearing what is being said. She's interpreting and switching things as they come at her and manipulating it before it goes back out. Why? Because she's trying to arm herself against anyone that comes at her from the outside, because she's feeling like they're going to be condescending or negative or anything in that way. And that is what she's doing. And she's just kind of, I'm going to get you before you get me. That's the whole thing. So the 21, the world, we got to remember 21 is the end of a cycle. So that's a symbol in itself. Okay. We're going into the romance here, but they're like, there is no romance. We are not in a state where we can attract, nor do we want, nor can we accept anything of this. Not only in a friendship zone, but any zone whatsoever, our heart is gone. So we cannot move forward. Now, 21 is the fact that there is an ending here coming, and the ending is that we need to really, the bottom line here, I just got to say it one more time. We need to feel our emotions outward. This will alleviate some of that frustration where we can't see in any direction, can't deal, can't do. It lifts that. Trust me, it lifts that process and carries it outward. So if we have to go in the back bush, spend 3 days to cry our eyes out, we'll come back. Our head will be clearer. We will be able to ground sharper, and we will be able to have more focus. Bottom line. So whoever's struggling in this manner, try that above all. That is not too hard. But for this Gemini female, it's harder than most. Now, under the 35, we get the 9 of Cups. The 9 of Cups is about wishes being fulfilled. Usually I attribute this card to someone's not happy. We know who's not happy. Gemini female is not happy. And there is no partner here. We want eventually to have that, but our mind is so cluttered right now with garbage that we cannot even see that straight. We cannot even assemble our dreams, wishes, hopes, and fears. Well, hopes and fears are abundant, but wishes and dreams, we cannot even assemble that. They're going, it's not even that functional. It's like, you know, you get a tablet and you fill that sucker up with apps and whatever. I had my boy, he done that. He filled it up with apps to the point where it just couldn't compute. That's what's going on here. Now, how do you clear it out? You got to press delete. How do you press delete? You go out you go home, you cry your eyes out, you vent out those emotions so that you can make room for more. Because we're stuffing. We cannot compute anymore. Our brain is not functioning properly because we got stuffing up to here. We need a database. We need to release some of that emotion to make room for common sense, logic, focus, future outcomes, these kind of things. We got to make room for that. That's what's going on here. We're so cluttered right to the top that we don't even feel like we want to be here anymore. So we got to start facing our emotions is the real deal. Man, heavy stuff. On top, I'm going to move to the sex side. Like I said, this is not about sex or love here. Well, it's about love, but we need to infuse that. But it's very much something this woman is struggling to keep out in any shape or form. Now, under the romantic tarot, we get the 7 of Swords. So the romantic is about, the universe has some secrets here, and they'll pull them out, their aces out when they're ready. And until then, you don't need to know. But under that, we get the 7 of Swords. And the 7 of Swords is about not getting any. We are upset. We are in a mode here. Usually this is like these people have had a fight to the degree that they're not having sex anymore. That's what the symbol of this is. Now, you may have had a possibility of something like this, but the sense I'm getting here is this woman is very isolated and not even in anywhere near mode to bring on a partner. It's not wanted. Even though deep down in the soul that is an issue, it is not wanted at this point. There's no room for that. We have long since pushed that out. Okay. Now under the 2 of Swords, which is blocking of the heart, we have 21 again. Very significant. We are close to coming to closure here from one of our major life lessons. So, and I feel like we're 75% of the way there. We just have 25%. What is that? Purging our emotions and feeling. And we do not recognize, and trust me on this, we do not recognize that if we feel and sense these emotions, that clarity will come. I've been through this process. I know I was amazed by how much clearer my thought process. It was like I took a pill in Ibiza. Like I was completely transformed upstairs. I could think clearly. I could focus on the future. I was so stuffed that I couldn't make a decision to pay a bill. And these are things that every month you got to do this. That was pre-programmed in. I mean, somebody would give me a bill and I'd lose my shit. I couldn't deal with it. So it's like 21. we're close to closing out this darkness that we've been sinking into. And we are kind of being coddled by this darkness because it is where we have been for a while. And we don't want to lose something that gives us a sense of security in some way. And that anchor, I feel like, is safety that they want to feel outside, but inside is also that stability. I know this is where I've been. I know this darkness. I've been here. I sleep here. I live here. It becomes comfortable. But they're going, this is not the comfortable we want you to feel. We want you to feel that 9 of Cups. We want you to go out and be abundant and blissful and, you know, wishes fulfilled. So we are close here, but the mentality, the way that we're dealing or not dealing, they're going with our emotions, is locking us out from finishing this cycle. Okay. So the real key here is, I'm going to say it again, is bleeding out your sadness. Going in the room and crying. Okay, sorry, I had to take a break there. Empathy is a huge thing with me. Yeah, we're needing to just feel it out as I stuff, right? Because these are the situations, right? We're in public, but it's at the point now we're so full that it's spurting out. You know, we've got a full jug here of emotions, and we're spurting it out all over the place. Okay. Empathy is huge here, okay? So what's going on? And I'm doing the same thing exactly right now. It's like, nope, not appropriate. We got to stop. Okay, let's get moving here. Like we got to finish this reading. I can't deal with this right now. But I have to make sure that when I'm done filming this reading, I go and I cry it out and let it go. Because that is what is really defeating our processor. Because our processor is so full right now with all these, I'm saying apps, but all these things going on. And it's really the emotional centers trying to purge. And that is the freedom that you will feel in your mind. You feel it in your mind. When you purge emotionally, your mind clears out. It's no longer cluttered. It's no longer stuffed full where we can't get another file in there. That's what's going on. So we have 221 cards right next to each other here, symbolizing we are close to closing out this chapter of our lives and moving forward. And if we do it properly by emotionally purging, and there's healing going on in the background, if we give in to this flow of healing, if we take those ideas coming from our higher self, right? If we take those things and we run with it, things will start to progressively get better. It's not going to be a snap, but it's going to slowly release us. They're showing me like a helium balloon just rising. And suddenly we're on top of things, not down in it or underneath it, right? So this is the process here. We're trying to close out a chapter. The universe, the higher self of you, is trying to close out a chapter here to get you further along. And we are kind of resisting. We're going, no, I'm not going to feel emotions. In fact, I'm going to shut it off. They're going, oh, no, we can't do that. That is when we collapse. That is when we start leaving this world because we cannot deal anymore. We need to feel these emotions, bleed that out, let it go, and we start to get our senses back. We start to create more of a balance of energies. We're not chaotic with people, and we can't, you know, this is the problem. So on top of the world romance card, we get the justice, and that is that balance, the final balance, right? When we complete this, we start to get justified things coming at us because we're going, I try and try and try. But if our emotional centers are stuffed to the brim, where we can't make sense in our mind, our emotional center is screwed up, we cannot process. You go click enter, it's just black screen. Nothing happens. This is what's going on. So we're trying to get to the end of that line here where we are purging our emotions, or justice is sitting there going, man, when you get on the other side of this, just see what can happen. You know, it's a huge fight for the Gemini female. She's very much in a state of internal struggle for her life. Okay. Sorry, I had to take my makeup. I don't wear a lot, so it's not a big deal. But yeah, I had to, you know, it was funny because I had to take a break here. Because I'm kind of in the middle of the process myself where I've learned to stuff as well. So I resonate highly to this. I understand this. And they're going, how can we put you in a position of power on others if you are not capable of doing the same thing yourself? And I'm like, yeah, I know, but later, I'll do it later. And they're like, no, we need to do this now. So that's the thing. And I think society, a lot of people, men too, this is very high for men as well. We are not supposed to cry. That is not the thing to do. And I myself have been around a lot of men growing up. So that just kind of hovers over you, even though you're a woman, and that is a more allowed than a man to cry in public. I feel, you know, and as I grow, sorry, this is going to be a long one. As I grow and I see a man truly cry from the heart and vulnerability of who he is, that is, I admire that in someone else, man or woman. If they can truly come from the soul, the authenticity of who they are, and not let anybody tell you you shouldn't or it's not appropriate or whatever, I admire that. I cannot carry this same trait within me, which is why I admire it so much in others, right? But on top of that, that's the fact of the process of venting. And all my life, I've been suppressed in that way. So very similar to the cycle here, where, well, one, you know, I feel too with the energy switch that has happened and is going on and continues to go on. There is a source here that the frequency is just different. Things that we did in the past do not completely calculate in this present and future forward. One of them being the fact that we could stuff things, right? We can stuff things, we'll be okay. But eventually there is a collapse because there's an emotional purging that we get, like I said before, we get to a point where our processor is full and we cannot compute anymore. And that is the point where these people are jumping off cliffs and bridges, and we can't do it anymore. There's no room for common sense. Because if we were purged out our emotions and we let go of that tank of toxicity, we let it out a bit, then we would see more clearly, we would have more logic, but if we've never done it, we don't know that what's on the other side of it. Because they were talking to me as I'm crying, and they're going, and I'm going, how do you make someone see? Because I'm feeling like the Gemini, the female here, how do you make someone see who may not know, right? How do you make someone, if they've lived in a box with 4 walls that are black, how do you make them see full rainbow color? You cannot explain it. You cannot tell. Yeah, there's greatness on the other side, but until they open that door and walk into it and see it and feel it and experience it, you cannot. All you can do is say. And then if they don't trust what's coming out of your mouth, they're not going to try and put the effort for it. So this is the process here. How do you explain to these people? And I feel like there's going to be a few of you guys that are stuck in the black room and you have no idea that there's a rainbow outside with clover everywhere and the brightest green that you could see and white, and you have no concept because we've not been there. And so many times The process that I've been through on the spiritual path forward, that's exactly what it was. Now, tell you something about me. Now, on a personal path here, all my life I have never had a true heartfelt emotion. So now I have to start from scratch. They're going, we're bringing you to kindergarten here. We're going to work our way through this. That made it easy for me to deal with people outside of me because I didn't have an emotional channel to come from. Though I could fake it and I could make things up and see other people react and you just do that, there was no inner core of that. So that's the thing here. We need to have that inner core blossom. Like I said, they're 75% of the way there. They just have to keep moving. Keep going. It just doesn't seem like there's anything to go for because we got 4 black rooms here, or 4 black walls here. What's to see? I've seen it all, right? But this is what the universe is trying to say. You know, there's a little knob here. It's black too, but if we look hard enough and we search hard enough and we drain our emotions, we'll see it and we'll grab it, we'll open it, and we'll step out there. And then we'll go, holy sheep shit. What the hell is that? And then we move. Then this chapter, this darkness, we can slowly creep our way out of it. It's not like we'll never ever feel. We just will never feel to those depths. We will never sink. Because what happened to me when I started leaving that was we feel it, but we don't go as low. We don't go as low in the well as we used to. We have a little more tools to deal with it, so we come out a little quicker. You know, we still have those dips that go back, but we are working our way out, right? It's like 3 steps forward, 1 step back. Or at first it may be like 2 steps back. Then it'll be 3 steps forward, 1 step back. Then it'll be 4 steps forward, 1 step back. You know what I mean? And this is how the process works. So we don't just plug you out of there and then put you in a paradise and everything's rosy. We got to build on the tools that we didn't have. We got to build tools now. So I'm not trying to sugarcoat and say we can get out of here and everything will be fine. It's not. It's going to be a work in progress, but it's going to be a hell of a lot easier than where you came from. And it's slowly going to, like a helium balloon, slowly going to lift you out of that muck. Okay, so there's my rant. Sorry, but this is really highly, deeply transformative position this person has got to come into. And at this point, I can totally resonate with this. It's very, maybe therapeutic for me, I guess. But nonetheless, struggle for this Gemini female single. Heavy. So I'm going to continue here. On the 9, the wish card, they put the magician. Now the magician, that is the dude, right? That's what I said. We got all our tools. And I feel highly, we got 2 kings here. We've got tools. But our processor's so built that he can't look for those tools because we're so built with stuffing of the emotional center that we cannot, absolutely cannot go in that way. There's no space. There's no elbow room. We're just so stuffed. And we can't move. So we need to purge our emotions, get it out so we can stretch and feel relaxed and calm. You know, not restless and chaotic and anxiety and all of that. So we end on the magician, which is the beginning of the tour here in the tarot. We have the fool, and the fool is that excited jump. But what's going on here is we're kind of being cornered to use our emotions, but at the same time refusing to do so. When we're unbeknownst to us, the emotional center is the exact thing we need to get out of this. So what's going on here is the struggle with the Gemini female going, here we are, the universe giving you, use your emotions. So they're bringing it out. And the Gemini female's going, no, I will not, and pulling it. And they're going, unless you do that, we will not move forward. And not listening to any of that. So that's really what's going on here. So hopefully some of the Geminis here, they get, they get a hold of this, and it makes sense, and we move forward. Now, I'm going to go horizontal here. No, I went horizontal. I'm going to go vertical. So we start out with strength. We're needing this, right? We're gaining little bits of it along the way. Little tidbits of it along the way are growing. We're growing in it, but we're needing a lot of strength to get through this time, because this is where we literally come out of our shell, right? This is where the snake sheds its skin. This is where the, whatever analogy you want to put on it, this is where we move forward. So the Seven of Cups is on the Strength card. The Seven of Cups is about a lot of things going on in the mind, and also a dreaminess kind of a state that we have there. But nonetheless, an overpowering, this is kind of the root ball here, an overpowering of all these things in the mind that we cannot deal with, cannot process, right? So on the Seven of Cups is the 13. It's like, oh, that's okay. You know, I can't deal with, I can't process, but I'm going to stay up in my dream time, and I'm going to make things happen. Now, it is never a bad thing to be in your dream time, but this woman has made it 75% of her worth to be up in her head that is not balanced, right? So if we are unbalanced, we start to tip over to the wrong side of things. And that's what's going on with the child here. It's like we got a child like imagination going on, that's creating a world that we like, but it is not reality, and we have to get more grounded in reality and deal in those ways. The Romantic Tarot is there to say that, you know, there's some things here that we are going to leave undercover because these need to be figured out, and we'll leave that. And then on top of the sex side here, we got the Seven of Swords, which is simply stating there is no sex, there is no object, there's nothing going on here. Okay? Now, as we move to the Six of Cups, which is that, you know, thoughtfulness of being in the head, right? The Hierophant is on top of that. Simply stating, we are very non-conventional in our thoughts, and we need to come down to a more conventional base here. And then 14 is like the manipulation of all of these factors in our mind. We're manipulating things to our best, or what we think is for our best, but not really serving us in that way. Then on top of that, we get the Two of Swords, which is about cutting the heart out. So this is the manipulation process, right? The universe coming in saying, we got to deal with reality here, heads up. and the 14 is her going, you know, no. And not only that, I am going to manipulate things to my benefit, but what is really happening is she's really doing it to her deficit, but not seeing that clearly either, because our processes are bogged down. Then we decide to cut off our heart completely, which is all in the process of that dream time. We're cutting it off. So we really cannot take the satisfaction even that we create in our dream time, because we are shutting our emotions down, right? So when we shut our emotions down, we do not have the capacity to feel happy. So after the Two of Swords, we get the 21, the World, which is the symbol of completion of projects, completion of lessons, completion and movement forward. So they're going, even though we're in our head, and even though we're manipulating, and even though we're needing strength, we are very close to completion of this process. In fact, we have the capacity to carry it off over this winter season. Now, as we move forward here, the King of Cups. The King of Cups is basically stating we are in emotional upheaval. That cup is spurting out stuff, and they're saying this is to the highest degree. We have emotional capacity here, but it may be overrun, and not only that, unmanageable, right? It's going off in all directions. So on top of that, we have the Hermit, and they're going, and this is what we do. We back away from society, everything, everyone, and we go in and we're fighting these emotions, because they're going, we cannot say we're dealing, because we are not dealing. We are fighting, we are stuffing, we are getting angry. When we get angry, and when we get volatile, this is a sign that we have not purged, right? So we back things up. We're getting all the emotional upheaval, things coming at us, we're dealing with, we're upset. If we do not carry our sadness, carry it, they're going, no, express it, then this is going to turn over to the King of Swords. The King of Swords is that cantankerous, angry, bitchy asshole that comes out and is just He can't get along with nobody. He cannot get along with nobody. So this is heightened, right? Once we stop dealing with our emotions, that's where we dip into. If we're stuffing, we're going to end up with the King of Swords. And he has tools to do better, but again, choosing not to. So the Hermit, we're going inside. 12 is about gossip. So people are fluttering around, may even be gossiping. I don't like that word. May even be talking and fluttering or trying to communicate with you. But this is being misrepresented, misunderstood, turned around, manipulated, and, it comes in a fashion and goes out completely different. It's like a 6 dressed up to be a 9. It's completely opposite, and the meaning is lost. The complete energy of the conversation is gone. There's things here in the communication process that just absolutely not taking in properly, misjudging things that are taken in, and completely flipping things around once they are taken in, and then shooting it back out. So we're kind of creating a negative karma here by reacting, because I do get a sense here that we sit and stew about it, flip it around, dress it up, and then throw it back out. And that's bad karma, because we're not seeing things straight. So 12 is about all that miscommunication. 21, again, symbolizing we have a cycle here. We are burdened. Yes, we are. We are down on our knees, but we are close to finishing the cycle. And then on top of that is the Justice. And don't you worry, once we get on top of that or behind that or open that door out of that black room, there will be justice here to pay us for all that work that we've put in. Now the next line, right? The King of Swords. So that's the angry. I mean, everybody knows where you stand because you got it written all over you. You're angry. Look at the guy's face. Don't mess with me. This is the energy field you're sitting in, which is not good. And this is what the energy you're giving off to others. Okay. So in order to really come through that, they have to bust through that, kicking and screaming and fighting. Sword first. So on top of that, we have the 9 of Wands, and that's the thing is I'm angry and argumentative, and I don't see any truth or honor here. What is going on? Like where is my reward, and why am I not? I don't feel like anything's worth it anymore. So that feeling of defeat and feeling like I cannot continue on. On top of that, we get the Anchor. And I got to remember, too, the Anchor is about security and stability and all of these things. But it is also about safety in a way that you are protected. So we have to keep in mind here, because the universe is going, oh, this person is protected. But we're not only working on, like, there is a high ability here to manipulate things to a degree that they can turn stuff on the universe and manipulate it to bad. And that's what's going on. We're protected, but if we're working against ourselves, there's only so much protection that's going to stand, right? Eventually the universe ain't going to give up. But if you gain in power about manipulating yourself in a self-destructive way, this is the cycle, right? This is the universe here. And the universe is trying to, protect this person from inner spirituality, whatever it is, protect them from harm, really, outside of themselves and inside. But if you and the universe are going to battle because I want to destroy myself and you can't stop me, that's the struggle, right? But again, not seeing clearly, not processing properly. So this is all a big jumble of just bad energy. So the Anchor is there for protection as well as safety and security that she creates in this dream world. Okay, and then on top of that, the 9 of Cups. And the 9 of Cups is about, yes, I do have dreams, wishes, and hopes I want to fulfill. We have no access to that now because it is completely blocked out by darkness, but it is there. And we are trying to bring that into your dreamscape. So make aware of that. Make aware of things going forward, not just dreams, but dreams that you can implement in your grounded reality. Okay, and then we end on the Magician, and the Magician is, we do have tools here. He's got all the elemental tools. We got the start, the beginning. And once we get over this hump, this is the beginning of the life we want you to lead. And it will be up from here, baby. That's what they said. Up from here, baby. We'll just keep going. And it does lift. And I mean, I've been under that black cloud. I don't know, you really can't say anything. Sorry, you really can't say anything to anyone because it has to be felt. And I'm probably one of the most stubborn people for that. It's like, oh no, you can say whatever you want. I have to see in order, and there has to be action made in order to make. And if I don't see and I don't feel the action, then whatever. So self-sabotaging all that stuff until that is rerouted, or not even rerouted, because that's like, we got to put it on another, just stopped, because it's huge self-sabotage here. Okay, so that is the reading, man. That's heavy for the Gemini female single. There's a lot of stuff going on, your reality, and not really, meaning a lot of mental, emotional capabilities here. Again, one being shut down, one being totally dove into, but they're going, yeah, part of the process here is to really ground ourselves in the element of dream time, where we are dreaming about something we can implement in reality. It's not so far gone, but the absolute first thing we have to do is purge our emotions, bottom line. If we cannot do that, or it is really simpler, simpler than the process of fighting. Fighting is harder, more exhausting, more frustrating than purging out your emotions. So we just need to hop on that train and go forward. Okay. Okay, so to review the overall energies for the Gemini female single, we are healing. And even though this is a huge struggle, we are making progress. The next card we get is release. And I feel like the release is the release of the self-sabotage, the release of all of the sadness and the negative energy. Sadness and negative energy are different. The negative energy is a symptom of the sadness. It starts to pull. It starts to pull down. So when we release the ability to think negatively, then we can start to lift, right? So this is part of that releasing. It's kind of like I said, there's an undercurrent here. We're going along the path and getting into that imagination and starting to think and create, even though she's diving into there and putting her whole life in there. We're going, no, we can take 25, 35, 45, even 50% of this, and we can work on it in our spare time. And this can make us happier. Why? Because we're creating a life that we want. And you know what? We can eventually get it. And it gets us in a mode where we are suddenly going to make connections with what's going on in our head in the outside world. Wait a minute. I dreamt I wanted a boat, and look, I'm seeing boats everywhere, or whatever. Whatever it is, the little thing that makes you happy, or makes you happier, or makes you even content, feeling contentment. If that's as far as you can go, and we can feel contentment, then just go there. That's where we need to go. And then once we get to contentment, then we'll realize what something a little above that is. It's like contentment, then happy, then, we're working our way up that ladder. We don't have to go from angry to happy. We can't do that. And that's all part of that, what do you call that? Abraham stuff. We can't make that leap, that jump that far. We just have to make little increments forward, and that's it. That's all. Just make a step forward. So the release, I feel, is the negativity, and dealing in the dream time is going to help us think about things that make us more content, and that's going to slowly bring us out of that process. So there's a lot here that needs to be released in that way. One of them being self-sabotage, but another thing is releasing the sadness, feeling the pain of the heart. And that's the thing. This woman has locked out her heart. She does not want to release that. But unless she does, things are not going to get better. So the last card I get for the overall energies is the new beginning. And that's the end of this cycle and the beginning of the way they want you to live. So very profound reading, very deep, very singularly, emotionally, mentally trying to get this person on track. So very important relationship. So if you know a Gemini female, shoot this out to her, because it may be a lot of stuff that you may not even know is going on the outside, because that's how good they are at hiding things. Because we have a sense here of black and white. I can be good here, but then I'm down and depressed over here. But nobody sees that, or I hide that from people, right? So yeah, if, it doesn't hurt to click, send it off to someone, and they may gain way more than we even realized they could. So for the Gemini female single, take care. Take care forward, and purge the emotions is really, there's so much here that needs to be done, but again, to overwhelm, just start at purging the emotions, feel it out. If you have to stay home for a week from work, take a week off. It's well worth it, because your brain don't compute properly anyway, unless we're right, unless our battery's full. Our battery's completely dead. It's completely dead at this point. That's why we're going, there's, what's the point? Because we don't have any life left in us, emotionally, mentally, spiritually. So we got to fill that back up. And sometimes we just don't know how to do that. And sometimes we just need to be pointed in a direction. And the direction is feel something. If it's sadness, start there. Because when you go to sadness, then you go to depression, and you go to anger, and then you work your way through a process. And some of these women, maybe they're on a mode where they got to learn to deal with their emotions as well. And we got to start off in kindergarten. And if that's having a fit because you didn't get your way, then we got to realize that and purge that and feel that. Just like a kid comes up to you, and then after he has a cry, he goes out and he's happy, he's light, he's airy. But I'm saying humans, but adults, we hold these things and we let them burden, and they keep bringing us down till we have nothing left. We never realize that it's the crying that helps us lift back up. Whew, and it's gone. So that's the thing. We can get in that mode, we'll be laughing. So take care. This is going to be a rough ride, but it's the end of this. So we got to fight for the end of what's going on here. And the fight we're fighting right now is against ourselves. So we got to stop, reassess. Again, just purge. After that, we'll deal with that. If we can just purge over the winter, and then the spring, man, hopefully we'll be continuing on the way and going in that direction. So over this season, stay safe. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. All of that. Take care. Have fun and be kind.